right. Hello, hello. Welcome so much to the Social Video Playbook. This is our space where for the next 15 minutes, and we try and keep it really at 15 minutes, so it's very quick. We want to give you fast insights from real leaders in the space who are joining us to help build the ultimate social video playbook, allowing businesses, companies, and brands to understand what it means to lean into this era of social video. How are they going about trying to digest all of this data? And what are some of the ways in which different companies, different tech can help improve all of your lives to make it easier so you can go do the great work that you're doing? I'm Elizabeth, head of growth at Viral Moment, host of the Social Video Playbook show. Super excited to be here alongside Wendy. Wendy, give us just a quick synopsis. Who you are, what do you do?
Sure. I'm Wendy Scherer. I'm the founder and managing partner of the Social Studies Group. We're a social media intelligence research firm, been around forever, and love Viral Moment.
Yay, awesome. Well, great. Thank you for the shout out for Viral Moment. I do love that. So let's dive right in. So we'll do this fast, 15 minutes to get straight into what actually matters across social video. Questions, just so people know, the guests have the questions ahead of time. They know what's kind of coming up. All of the questions are the same for each of these different episodes, as you'll see, which allows you to really digest and understand how each different sector, each different leader understands how social video works, which then collaboratively can bring together really interesting and very cool insights into this whole new era that we have been ushered into thanks to the TikToks and the YouTube Shorts of the world. So first question, Wendy, what is the number one shift in your industry that brands just aren't ready for?
I think the biggest shift is moving from more of a broadcast model of influence to a much more hyper-focused community type of influence. It's almost like going back to the olden days when everybody was looking at micro communities and then it got really big. Now I think that looking back at these smaller communities and smaller influencers with very strong connections within their own industries are just making a much bigger splash and really effective.
All right, yeah, niching back down, macro back to micro.
Exactly.
How do you think that social video is changing the way that brands make decisions?
Oh, so many ways. So one, I think that looking at the real analytics, I mean, really what's going on helps make decisions about what their consumers really care about and hopefully is driving innovation. And with the innovation, product development, marketing decisions, all kinds of really smart decisions can be made by looking really closely at what is happening within the videos that they're already putting out and what their consumers really do care about, not just what they think they care about.
Yeah, so brands watching the UGC content that's put out there to understand what's being said.
Not only watching, but really analyzing what's happening to the videos that they're using, and what are people, how long are they watching? Which parts are they caring about? What's really going on out there to be able to prioritize what's important to their consumers and their targets.
Fascinating. Keeping going, and along lines of that, if we're looking into a lot of social video, what are some of the biggest challenges across social video right now?
Well, almost relating back to what I just said about looking at the really important analytics, I think that one of the biggest challenges is that we've all been trained to look at some of the metrics that may not be as important to actual strategy as they are more like vanity metrics. So looking at just likes might not be the smartest way to be looking at that. Maybe you just need to be digging a little bit deeper and understanding much more about what is happening out there, being able to look at what's being said about your brand, not just with text, but being able to see what's happening in video and in their image recognition and all of the things that we kind of haven't had a great opportunity to see up until the last couple of years. And so being able to really dig into what is happening, both with what you're putting out and what people are saying about you, and understanding it much more deeply and staying away from the numbers that you put in your reports necessarily, and more about the numbers that really matter.
And trying to get to those numbers can be difficult, which is some of that challenge aspect for it. So how are you tackling it right now? Like, what's working, what's not working? Give us a little lowdown on some of the space that you're in to try and tackle that challenge in this current state.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's hard. I think that part of it is setting your mind a little bit differently and not just looking at view counts, but looking at engagement, looking at how long things have been watched and where people stop. So understanding what the key point is, and also really like looking at, especially shoppable video, understanding what is driving actual sales or actual traffic, if it's not sales, but just moving them to where they really need to be. So that's really what we're trying to help our clients understand, is taking a look at actions that make a real difference and not just actions that make you look good.
Okay. And how are you uncovering those insights? Like, how are you trying to tackle like getting to finding that data?
So there's a lot of different ways. I mean, certainly we can look at it in viral moment. That helps a lot. But that's one great way. But another way really is looking at the comments and understanding where that's happening, and also looking at the back end data to see where, how long things have been watched. And not every platform tells you everything, but there's pretty good analytics behind a lot of them. And to me, I think time watched is a very important part, but I also really want to understand percentage of actions taken, actions either being engagement, talking to each other, or writing to the brand, or clicking through. Because if they're going to go back to your site, then you were successful. But even if they're just talking about it or asking questions, that's a really good step forward, because you've got so much more attention if somebody's asking you a question or talking about it than you do if they're just viewing it and moving on, scrolling past,
Yeah, absolutely. It's just understanding who's actually engaging versus just looking and moving forward. Yeah.
So, so the platform analytics can be really useful, but I think there's more. And a lot of it also really has to do with what you were trying to accomplish and measuring your success against what you really care about, and not just about views. So just digging a little deeper. And, in some of my groups, we have people who actually sit and talk about it, really just kind of dig in. And you're people who are watching an awful lot of video, you get a really good idea of what's working and where you can improve.
Yeah. Well, and watching a lot of video takes a lot of time and resources, and that means money. So it can be expensive to do that. But speaking of resources, Wendy, if you had like unlimited resources, what would you do to solve these challenges that you just came across? Is it buying like, all of the different platforms and, hiring all the people, or what are some of the things that you would do to solve those challenges you've presented?
So I think I would do two things. One, I would put video across all the platforms that I think matter for my target audience, for sure. But I also probably would set up a dual campaign for whatever I'm doing. One that's much more about branding, and one that's much more about quicker hits, maybe trying to get traffic or trying to get some reactions or just some impressions. But so if we've got a selling strategy and a branding strategy, having them work really close together, with a very similar overall strategy and messaging, but with different goals, I would probably do both of those things on every platform I care about, and test. Do it over and over again. But I would spend money. I would promote on the platforms that work the best for me. I would test it out, and I'd watch it really closely. That's what I think I would do. But I definitely like the idea. Consistency matters so much. People, we all know this. We have branding 101. You have to have a consistent brand. But if you're doing different things, there just has to be some threads between them that make it make sense to the consumer. People are watching so much video, and they have to know that it's you again. There has to be something to ground them so that they know it's the second or third or fifth time that they're seeing that brand, even if the goals are different. So I would spend my money that way. Having more people and better creative is always terrific. Not everybody has that luxury. So, to me, testing, A/B testing, constant testing really, really helps to get to the right answers.
Fascinating. So you mentioned something that leads us right into our next question. I wonder if it's going to also be part of your answer, but what's a common mistake that brands make when using or interpreting social video?
I think this goes back to a couple of things I said. One is looking at vanity metrics, which looks really great in a board presentation, but is really not that useful in knowing if it's actually working. So, that's one problem I see, one challenge. Another is sometimes making the videos too long, because people don't have the attention span to sit through very, very long video unless it's incredibly fascinating. And I'm sure all the brands out there, their stuff is so fascinating, but everybody's busy and they're flipping through and they're not paying a lot of close attention. So you really need to be strong and hit fairly quickly these days. That's at least what we're seeing here. So those are some of the mistakes that I see. But I also think a lot of people aren't testing, and a lot of times people are choosing the platforms because either the head of the department likes that platform, or
Mm.
they think that that's the best one for them, but they really haven't tried the others. And so I think it's easy to get in a rut or to kind of use hearsay to make decisions rather than some more traditional testing, which I don't know. I'm a researcher. I like to test.
Testing's great. What is one of the most important things that brands should actually be measuring if it's not what you just mentioned earlier?
So I think that they should be measuring view duration for sure. I mean, how long are people watching? That's really important. I think that engagement, comments, and shares are super important because that is another step of caring. So that's really good, useful comments. Looking at the comments, positive or negative, what are they saying, and taking that as actual feedback as if it's a survey almost. This is information that people are providing to you to tell you how you're doing, and using it is really important. So I think that's great. And I also think that the quality of the interaction really is much more impactful than the number of interactions. And so that kind of goes back to the same vanity metric. So it's about quality, not quantity. Obviously, if it's one comment, it's not enough to matter, but it's not, but views versus somebody who's doing something or showing interest really make a big difference. So to me, those are the biggest things. Meaningful engagement. It addresses quality, resonance, and it drives action.
I love that. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
What do you say is one underrated insight that leaders in your field should be acting on right now?
So, not to be repetitive, I think that one thing that everybody should be thinking about is how short attention spans are, shorter than ever. And people are so distracted. So doing your creative and your buying and your placement and your time of day and everything, thinking about those things, I think is incredibly important right now.
Yeah. Is there a common assumption about social video that you see, you hear, is just like completely wrong?
I can't tell you how many meetings I've been in where people say, but it's free. Oh, just shoot a video. Just take your phone and shoot a video and we'll put it up. It's like, it won't cost, it's not even a budget item. That I think is a really big mistake. I think not that we want everything to be so polished and so produced, because I don't necessarily think that all consumers are attracted to that kind of production value. Maybe it feels a little bit artificial, but I do think that you have to recognize that you have to spend money to get good content.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you just have your iPhone in front of you and you're doing the thing, it's still got to be decent.
It's got to be good, and you have to look at it and you have to tag it properly and all the things to make it really work. You can't just shoot and post and think that it's all fine.
Yes, that's a great assumption that people are getting wrong. So it's 2025. If you, Wendy, were to get one thing this year that would make social video easier for your business, what would it be?
A better studio.
But yeah, okay, totally.
Better lighting and equipment. I think a lot of companies, and we're not a production company, we're a research firm. So we do a little bit, but our clients have great studios and do things out in natural light and beautiful. But I think there's a lot of smaller brands out there who are not taking advantage of the really good and fairly reasonably priced equipment out there to make it a lot better.
Yes. Yeah. And that's, that's something that's achievable. Ring lights and other studio spaces.
It doesn't have to cost a fortune, but you have to do it thoughtfully. You have to know what you need.
Yeah. We have one bonus question. We've got 1 minute left of time here. So what's one lesson that you've learned from navigating across social video that you wish that more people understood?
That's so hard because, like I said, I'm not in that business. I'm more on the research side of it and more on the stats side. But I think that video enhances everything, whether it's serious, factual, informative content or whether it's fun. It just makes it better. I even was on Etsy the other day and they said video makes the sales like 40% higher. So video's it. So do a good job of it, add it in, even if it's in a small way. Do it and do it well.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's across Etsy. I see that on Facebook Marketplace when you're listing something. They're like, take a video of this. And it's, apparently it works.
Apparently.
Wendy, thank you so much for giving me 15 minutes of your time. Where is it that people can follow your work, learn more about what you're doing and how to get in contact with you?
Probably the best place is LinkedIn. I'm Wendy Scherer, all smushed together, and I would love to hear from you.
Awesome. Wendy, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for tuning in for our very quick, fast insights with real leaders learning what it means to be in the social video era. How are they overcoming some of the challenges? What are some of the tools, tech, and ways in which they're going about that? Super excited to get you all on the next show as well. Wendy, thank you so much. Have a great day. We'll chat soon.
Thanks for having me. Bye.